That coffee sitting in your kitchen right now, the one proudly labeled 100% Arabica, may not be the coffee you think it is, because that label tells you almost nothing about the true quality, freshness, or nutritional value of the beans inside. And coffee companies know this. They know most people see the word Arabica and assume it means premium, pure, and healthy. But in reality, Arabica only describes the species of the coffee plant, not the grade, not the processing quality, and certainly not the biological value of what ends up in your cup. Tonight, we are exposing 8 major coffee brands sold across America that market themselves as high quality while quietly using low-grade beans, aggressive industrial processing, and storage methods that destroy the very compounds that make coffee beneficial in the first place. You see, coffee naturally contains powerful bioactive compounds like chlorogenic acids, which scientific studies have linked to reduced inflammation, improved metabolism, and better cardiovascular health. But when coffee is mass-produced using industrial methods, many of these beneficial compounds are degraded or lost entirely. What remains is caffeine, without the biological benefits that real coffee provides. So stick with me, because by the end of this video, you will know exactly which coffee brands are delivering real coffee, and which ones are selling you something that only looks like it. But first, you need to understand how the 100% Arabica label became one of the most misunderstood claims in the entire coffee industry. How 100% Arabica misleads consumers. Walk into any grocery store and look at the coffee shelf. You will see the same words repeated everywhere: 100% Arabica. It sounds like a guarantee of quality. It sounds pure, premium, and superior. But here is the truth most people never hear. Arabica is only a species of coffee plant. It tells you nothing about the grade, the freshness, the processing quality, or the nutritional value of the coffee you are drinking. There are over 100 different grades of Arabica coffee. The highest grades, called specialty grade Arabica, are carefully harvested, sorted, and processed to preserve beneficial compounds. But the majority of coffee sold in grocery stores uses commodity grade Arabica. These are lower quality beans with defects, inconsistencies, and reduced biological value. The difference between specialty grade and commodity grade. Arabica is enormous. Specialty coffee must meet strict quality standards, including minimal defects and proper harvesting. Commodity coffee has no such requirements. It can include immature beans, damaged beans, or beans stored improperly for months or even years. Storage alone dramatically affects coffee quality. Scientific analysis shows that coffee begins losing key volatile compounds within weeks of roasting. These compounds are responsible for flavor, aroma, and many biological benefits. When coffee sits on warehouse shelves for extended periods, oxidation breaks down these compounds. What remains is chemically different from fresh coffee. Oxidation changes coffee at the molecular level. Oxygen exposure degrades lipids, reduces antioxidant activity, and alters flavor compounds. Studies published in food chemistry journals confirm that prolonged storage reduces chlorogenic acid concentration, one of coffee's most important beneficial compounds. Chlorogenic acids are powerful polyphenols naturally present in coffee. Research has linked them to improved glucose metabolism, reduced oxidative stress, and protection against cellular damage. These compounds are part of what makes properly sourced coffee beneficial, but poor storage and aggressive processing significantly reduce their presence. Roasting also plays a critical role. While roasting is necessary to develop flavor, excessive heat destroys beneficial compounds. Industrial roasting methods prioritize speed and volume, often using higher temperatures to process massive quantities quickly. This allows companies to maximize efficiency, but it comes at the cost of biological quality. Dark roasting, especially when done aggressively, can reduce chlorogenic acid content by up to 90% compared to lighter roasting profiles. This dramatically changes the nutritional profile of the coffee. Instead of delivering the full spectrum of beneficial compounds, heavily roasted commodity coffee delivers primarily caffeine. Caffeine itself remains stable during roasting, which is why even low-quality coffee still provides stimulation. But stimulation alone does not mean quality. The true biological value of coffee comes from its complex combination of polyphenols, antioxidants, and volatile compounds, many of which are degraded during industrial processing. This is why two coffees, both labeled 100% Arabica, can be completely different products at the chemical level. One may contain high levels of beneficial compounds, while the other contains significantly reduced antioxidant activity due to poor sourcing, storage, and roasting. And this is exactly how major coffee brands use the Arabica label to create an illusion of quality while quietly prioritizing cost efficiency behind the scenes. Number 1. Folgers. Let me start with one of the most recognizable coffee brands in America. Folgers has dominated grocery store shelves for decades, instantly recognizable by its red container and its promise of rich, mountain-grown coffee. But behind that familiar packaging is a product designed for mass production, not biological quality. Folgers markets many of its products as 100% Arabica, which sounds like a guarantee of premium coffee. But Arabica refers only to the plant species, not the grade or condition of the beans. Commodity-grade Arabica beans are vastly different from specialty-grade Arabica. They often include defective beans, immature beans, or beans stored improperly for extended periods. Storage alone changes coffee at the chemical level. Over time, oxygen exposure degrades essential lipids and volatile compounds that contribute to aroma, flavor, and biological benefits. Scientific analysis shows that oxidation reduces chlorogenic acids, one of coffee's most important antioxidant compounds. These compounds help reduce oxidative stress and support metabolic health, but they decline significantly in stale coffee. Folgers also relies heavily on high-volume roasting methods designed for consistency and efficiency. Industrial roasting uses higher temperatures and faster processing to handle massive quantities. While this creates a uniform flavor profile, it reduces antioxidant concentration and alters the natural chemical composition of the beans. The result is coffee that still delivers caffeine stimulation, but with significantly reduced levels of beneficial polyphenols and aromatic compounds. When you see 100% Arabica on a Folgers container, it does not guarantee freshness, quality, or biological value. It simply describes the species, while the true quality remains hidden behind industrial processing designed for scale, not for your health. Number 2. Maxwell House. Maxwell House is another brand that has been part of American households for over a century. Its famous slogan, "Good to the last drop," helped build a reputation of reliability and comfort. But consistency and quality are not the same thing. Maxwell House is engineered for large-scale production, long shelf life, and cost efficiency, not for preserving the biological integrity of coffee. Like many mainstream brands, Maxwell House uses commodity-grade Arabica and Robusta blends to maintain low production costs. Robusta beans are cheaper and easier to grow because they are more resistant to disease and produce higher yields. However, they contain significantly higher levels of bitter compounds and fewer beneficial polyphenols compared to high-quality Arabica. Scientific analysis shows that Robusta beans contain lower concentrations of desirable aromatic compounds and higher concentrations of harsher phenolic compounds. This creates the bitter, flat taste commonly associated with mass-market coffee. To mask these defects, Maxwell House relies on darker roasting profiles, which create a uniform flavor while hiding inconsistencies in the beans. But aggressive roasting has consequences beyond taste. Research published in food chemistry studies shows that excessive heat degrades chlorogenic acids and reduces antioxidant activity. These antioxidants are linked to reduced inflammation, improved cardiovascular health, and cellular protection. When they are destroyed, coffee loses much of its biological value. Maxwell House also prioritizes long shelf stability. Ground coffee exposed to oxygen begins losing volatile compounds almost immediately. Within weeks, the coffee undergoes chemical changes that reduce freshness, aroma, and antioxidant capacity. The result is a product designed to deliver caffeine stimulation reliably, but with significantly reduced biological complexity and freshness compared to properly sourced and freshly roasted coffee. Number 3. 8 O'Clock Coffee. 8 O'Clock Coffee presents itself as one of America's original gourmet coffee brands, with a history dating back more than a century. The packaging emphasizes tradition, quality, and smooth flavor. But the most important factor affecting coffee quality is not tradition. It is freshness. And freshness is exactly where large-scale production creates problems. 8 o'clock coffee is produced in massive volumes to supply grocery chains nationwide. To achieve this scale, beans are sourced from multiple suppliers, stored in bulk, and processed for maximum shelf life. This extended storage exposes the beans to oxygen, humidity, and temperature fluctuations, all of which accelerate chemical degradation. At the molecular level, coffee contains hundreds of volatile compounds responsible for aroma, flavor, and biological activity. These compounds are highly unstable. Research shows that oxygen exposure triggers lipid oxidation, breaking down essential fatty acids and reducing antioxidant potential. Within weeks of grinding, coffee begins losing key aromatic compounds. Within months, much of the original chemical complexity is gone. Grinding accelerates this process dramatically. Whole beans retain their internal structure, which protects sensitive compounds. Once ground, the surface area increases exponentially, allowing oxygen to penetrate and degrade the coffee much faster. This is why freshly ground coffee consistently shows higher antioxidant activity compared to pre-ground coffee stored long-term. 8 o'clock. Coffee must prioritize shelf stability to survive distribution and storage timelines. But shelf stability and biological quality move in opposite directions. The longer coffee sits before consumption, the fewer beneficial compounds remain intact. The result is coffee that still contains caffeine, but with significantly reduced freshness, aroma, and biological value compared to properly stored and freshly roasted beans. Number 4, community coffee. Community coffee has built its reputation on tradition, affordability, and wide availability. It is a staple in many American households, particularly in the southern United States. But like most mass-market coffee brands, its production model prioritizes consistency and cost efficiency over preserving the biological quality of the beans. Community coffee relies heavily on blending beans from multiple origins to maintain a consistent taste profile. While blending itself is not inherently bad, large-scale blending often involves combining higher-grade beans with lower-grade commodity beans. Commodity beans are harvested using mechanical methods that prioritize speed and volume rather than careful selection. This process allows defective, immature, or damaged beans to enter the final product. These defects matter because bean integrity directly affects chemical composition. High-quality coffee beans contain balanced concentrations of lipids, amino acids, and polyphenols that contribute to flavor and biological activity. Lower-grade beans often have disrupted cellular structures, which accelerates oxidation and degradation during storage and roasting. Roasting further alters the coffee's chemistry. Industrial roasting systems process massive batches quickly, using standardized heat profiles that cannot adapt to individual bean variations. This ensures uniform output, but it also reduces the retention of beneficial compounds like chlorogenic acids and trigonelline. These compounds are associated with antioxidant activity, neuroprotective effects, and metabolic support. Storage and distribution also play a critical role. Coffee transported and stored over long periods loses volatile compounds responsible for aroma and freshness. Scientific studies show that prolonged storage reduces both sensory quality and antioxidant activity. The result is coffee that delivers reliable caffeine content, but with reduced chemical complexity, freshness, and biological value compared to carefully sourced and freshly roasted alternatives. Number 5, Dunkin' Grocery Store. Coffee Dunkin' built its reputation on serving fresh coffee in its stores, creating the expectation that the same quality exists in the packaged versions sold in grocery stores. But the coffee you buy on a shelf is fundamentally different from the coffee served fresh in a store. The difference comes down to time, oxygen exposure, and chemical stability. Dunkin' grocery store coffee is almost always sold pre-ground. Grinding coffee dramatically accelerates chemical degradation. Whole beans protect their internal compounds, but once ground, the protective structure is broken. Oxygen can immediately interact with sensitive lipids, aromatic molecules, and polyphenols. Research in food chemistry confirms that ground coffee can lose a significant portion of its volatile aromatic compounds within days of grinding. These volatile compounds are not only responsible for flavor and aroma, they also contribute to coffee's biological activity. Compounds like chlorogenic acids and melanoidins have antioxidant properties that help reduce oxidative stress in the body. but prolonged exposure to oxygen gradually reduces their concentration. Packaging slows this process, but it cannot stop it completely. By the time grocery store coffee reaches your home, it may have been roasted, ground, transported, and stored for weeks or months. During this time, oxidation continues silently, altering the chemical profile of the coffee. Dunkin' also uses roasting profiles designed for consistency across large production volumes. This ensures predictable flavor, but it further reduces variability and complexity that characterize fresher, smaller batch coffee. The result is a product that still provides caffeine stimulation, but with significantly reduced freshness, aroma, and biological richness compared to freshly roasted and freshly ground coffee. The 5 brands we examined all share the same core problem. They rely on industrial sourcing, large-scale storage, and high-volume processing designed to maximize shelf life and production efficiency, not to preserve the biological integrity of coffee. The label 100% Arabica creates the impression of quality, but it does not guarantee freshness, grade, or chemical value. Arabica simply describes the species, commodity grade. Arabica can still be stale, oxidized, or chemically degraded long before it reaches your cup. Fresh, properly sourced coffee contains hundreds of active compounds, including chlorogenic acids, polyphenols, and volatile aromatic molecules. These compounds support antioxidant activity, metabolic function, and cellular protection. But they degrade over time through oxidation, heat exposure, and prolonged storage. What remains in low-quality, mass-market coffee is primarily caffeine. The stimulation is still there, but much of the biological complexity is gone. Real coffee is defined by freshness, sourcing quality, and careful processing, not by a label printed on the front of a container. So check the coffee in your kitchen. Look beyond the label, because once you understand how industrial coffee is produced, you realize that not all coffee delivers the same value. If this changed how you see your daily coffee, subscribe now. More explainers are coming that reveal the truth behind everyday products you trust.